Hello friends. Have you ever met someone who seemed like a walking paradox, wildly adventurous, yet somehow wise beyond their years? Someone with a magnetic charm that pulls people in, yet whose secrets remain locked behind a wry smile and knowing eyes? If so, chances are you've encountered a Sagittarius born in the year of the snake. This is not your average zodiac pairing. On one side, we have Sagittarius, the cosmic wanderer, ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, freedom, and belief. On the other, the snake, a mysterious, elegant creature from the Chinese Zodiac, known for its depth, strategic mind, and sensual mystique. Combine the two, and you get a complex, intoxicating blend of fire and wisdom. Let's unravel who these people truly are. Love, the flaming arrow and the coiling heart. When it comes to love, Sagittarius born in the year of the snake is a walking contradiction, passionately transparent and yet profoundly enigmatic. Falling for them feels like stepping into an epic novel that switches genres with every chapter. One moment it's an exhilarating romance, the next a philosophical journey, and then, suddenly, a mystery you can't quite solve. They are, quite simply, addictive. Not because they play games, but because their emotional rhythm follows no known script. Their love is spontaneous yet strategic, overflowing with warmth and distance, and always layered with something just out of reach. That's the irresistible fire of Sagittarius colliding with the slow-burning intensity of the snake. They don't approach love cautiously. The Sagittarius part of them leaps, with words, feelings, and sometimes, literal plane tickets. They believe love should be thrilling, expansive, and full of discovery. This isn't someone who's content with routine dinner dates. No, they'll suggest stargazing at 3 a.m., discussing ancient mythology over wine, or disappearing into the woods just to feel alive again. They are emotional cartographers, mapping meaning in every glance, every touch, every long, tangled conversation. If a relationship doesn't expand their universe, they won't stay. But that free-spirited Sagittarian boldness is shaded by the snake's cautious and secretive nature. While the archer charges in, the snake coils and considers. This duality makes them incredibly discerning lovers. They won't settle for shallow sparks. The snake demands emotional substance, trust, loyalty, soul-level intimacy. They seek a partner who both excites their mind and soothes their spirit. They'll be drawn to confidence, intelligence, and mystery. And even if they're the one chasing, don't be fooled, they're always watching, measuring, sensing. If you lie, betray, or emotionally drain them, the exit will be elegant, quiet, and final. Their love language is not just touch, words, or time, it's transformation. If you're not growing, they'll grow restless. If you can't challenge them intellectually, they'll feel alone. But if you do get it right, if you earn their trust and match their fire with your own, they will love you like a revolution, unapologetically, mindfully, and completely. You'll be part of their poetry, their travels, their truth-seeking. And while they may never be the easy kind of partner, they'll be the kind you remember forever. Their love often feels larger than life, almost mythic. It comes with metaphors, confessions at dawn, deep eye contact, and an overwhelming desire to understand you, not just on the surface, but deep within your contradictions. They love not just who you are, but who you're trying to become. And they expect the same in return. To be with them means embracing a relationship that's constantly evolving, shaped as much by silence as by speech, by space as much as by intimacy. But this depth comes with shadows. The snake side of them remembers everything, especially emotional betrayal. They won't always fight or argue. Instead, they'll disappear into themselves, becoming distant, unreadable. That's their way of protecting a bruised heart. You won't hear a dramatic exit. What you'll notice is the slow vanishing of warmth, their texts becoming shorter, their eyes less lit, their body present but soul withdrawn. And by the time you realize what's missing, they've already let go emotionally. In love, this person is poetry and paradox, storm and shelter. To love them is to accept their duality, the fire that needs freedom and the soul that demands depth. They won't promise you calm seas. But they will offer a voyage so rich, so transformative, that once you've sailed with them, every other love will feel like a shallow puddle in comparison. Sex, fire and silk. With a Sagittarius snake, sex isn't just an experience, it's an unfolding story, a psychological game, a ritual of emotional alchemy. It begins long before bodies touch. With them, seduction starts with a glance that lingers too long, a question that seems too deep for a casual chat, a laugh that's just a little too intimate. This is someone who seduces with intellect first, creating a tension that hums beneath every interaction. Their conversations flirt before their hands ever do. They'll ask you things that leave you thinking about them days later. For them, arousal begins in the mind, and without that spark, the physical doesn't hold much weight. The Sagittarius influence makes them fearless, eager to explore, always craving the unknown. They're not afraid to push boundaries, but not just for the thrill. They seek meaning in even the most carnal moments. They want to experience sex as a journey, a shared discovery of pleasure, vulnerability, and instinct. And here, the snake's essence coils in, adding an element of refined, almost hypnotic sensuality. The result? A lover who can make your pulse race with a single look, a touch on the back of your neck, or a sentence whispered in a way that makes the air shift. They are deeply present in the act itself, reading cues, noticing shifts in energy, and responding with a sensitivity that feels nearly psychic. They know when to slow down, when to take control, when to melt into softness. 1 minute, it's wild and unrestrained, the next, it's an orchestration of slow burning, near sacred intimacy. Every move feels intentional. They're not just doing things to you, they're communicating through you. Sex, to them, is a dialogue, unspoken, but deeply understood. But don't expect to unlock them fully on the first night. Part of their allure is what they hold back. There's always a layer you won't touch unless you earn it. This isn't someone who reveals every fantasy or vulnerability in one sitting. The snake in them is protective, mysterious, and layered, holding on to control even in the most unguarded moments. That's part of the thrill, they leave you wanting more, wondering what you haven't discovered yet. What truly elevates their sexual expression, though, is connection. Without emotional resonance or mental stimulation, their desire dims. Physicality alone bores them. You could look like a god, but if you can't challenge their mind, engage their curiosity, or share in their philosophical hunger, they'll quietly drift. They need to feel that what's happening between the sheets has a pulse that goes beyond the flesh. That there's meaning, magic, even a bit of madness. They're adventurers, yes, but with purpose. They're not into quantity. They seek experiences that linger, that transform. Sex with them is not transactional, but transformational. They want to feel like time stops, like the rest of the world has faded, like you're both suspended in some higher realm of truth and connection. They don't just want your body, they want access to your deeper self. To your raw honesty. To the part of you that most people never touch. That's why variety matters, not for novelty's sake, but for depth. They like role-playing, unexpected locations, long build-ups, and spontaneous intensity. But they also crave eye contact, emotional surrender, and afterglow conversations that last until morning. If it's flat, predictable, or emotionally disconnected, they'll retreat. Not with malice, but with quiet finality. Their energy doesn't lie. When they're lit up, it's undeniable. When they're not, it's over. To truly connect with a Sagittarius snake on a sexual level, you must understand their rhythm. Give them space to initiate. Be curious, not just physically, but about who they are deep down. Surprise them. Challenge them. Reveal yourself. The more open you are, the more they'll unravel for you. And when they trust you, when the intellectual and emotional currents align with desire, they'll take you somewhere unforgettable. With them, sex isn't just about pleasure. It's about transformation, exploration, and transcendence. It's fire meeting silk, unpredictable, addictive, and unlike anything you've felt before. Marriage, freedom within the bond. To marry a Sagittarius snake is to step into a dynamic that defies conventional definitions of partnership. This is not the person who dreams of white picket fences, predictable date nights, and a neatly scheduled domestic routine. No, marriage for them is an evolving, living entity. It must breathe, grow, and surprise. They see it not as an institution, but as a sacred pact between two sovereign souls who choose to walk through life side by side, not out of obligation, but out of continued resonance. If the connection stops growing, if the purpose becomes stale, they feel it immediately, and they retreat. They are drawn to marriage not for stability, but for the depth of shared discovery. They want to know someone on every level, body, mind, soul, and to be known just as completely. But here's the paradox: the deeper the connection, the more fiercely they guard their independence. Their spirit needs to roam. So marrying them means embracing the delicate art of being close without crowding, of offering love without shackles. If you try to confine or control them, you don't just lose them, you never really had them. Their version of commitment is not about possession, but about mutual evolution. This is why they often marry later in life, or after multiple intense relationships. They need time to understand their own rhythm before inviting another into it. When they do choose a partner, it's intentional. Thought out. Deeply considered. They won't say yes because of pressure, timelines, or societal norms. In fact, those things only push them further away. They are waiting for the one who feels like freedom, not a cage. Someone who excites their mind, respects their boundaries, and stands fully in their own identity. Their ideal partner is strong, not in a domineering sense, but in presence, intellect, and self-awareness. They are turned off by clinginess, emotional volatility, or codependency. What they crave is a person who has their own passions, their own world, their own fire. Someone who can challenge them, laugh with them, and hold them without suffocating them. It's a tall order, yes. But for those who can rise to the challenge, the reward is extraordinary. Because when a Sagittarius snake does commit, it's with profound loyalty. The snake side brings emotional depth, protective instincts, and a desire to create something lasting and meaningful. They may flirt, flirting is in the Sagittarian DNA, but rarely with intent to betray. It's more about the dance, the spark, the art of human connection. Their true intimacy, their full heart, is reserved for one person. The person who truly sees them. Who listens without trying to fix, who stays without trying to hold too tightly. And while their marriage may not look traditional on the outside, perhaps it involves separate travels, unexpected career shifts, or wild philosophical debates at midnight, it will be rich in substance. With the right partner, they create a home that isn't just a place, but a feeling, freedom, safety, passion, and purpose, all coexisting. They don't want a static love. They want one that evolves with time, one that can weather the storms of change without collapsing under the pressure to conform. This kind of marriage requires ongoing effort, not the kind rooted in obligation, but in curiosity. You have to keep exploring them, just as they keep exploring you. Keep introducing new ideas, planning new adventures, questioning old beliefs. For them, the marriage that lasts is the one that never stops being a conversation. If you can meet them in that space, where growth is love, and love is movement, they will stand by you with unwavering commitment. Ultimately, marriage to a Sagittarius snake is not for the faint-hearted. It's for the brave, the introspective, the emotionally mature. It's for those who believe that love isn't about completing someone else, but walking beside them as they complete themselves. In return, they offer a bond that is deeply passionate, endlessly fascinating, and impossibly rare. A bond that doesn't just hold two people together, but lifts them toward their highest selves. Friendship, the philosopher you party with. Friendship with a Sagittarius snake is anything but ordinary. It's an unpredictable, exhilarating ride across emotional, intellectual, and existential terrain. This is the friend who exists on two frequencies at once, wild spontaneity and piercing introspection. They'll invite you to a last-minute road trip with nothing but a camera, a playlist, and a vague idea of destiny, then spend the drive unpacking the human condition like it's light conversation. There's an infectious vibrancy in everything they do, an untamed, kinetic energy that pulls people into their orbit. But at the same time, there's a guardedness, a complexity, a careful control that only a select few ever get to see. They are the ultimate experience sharers. With them, friendship isn't about just hanging out, it's about feeling alive. They want to climb mountains, dance under the stars, binge-watch documentaries, lose track of time in bookstores, and debate the meaning of art at 3 a.m. They don't do small talk. They don't do fake laughs. They crave connections that are raw, real, and a little chaotic. And if you're the kind of person who thrives on depth, who's unafraid of confronting the absurdities of life while laughing your way through them, then congratulations, you've found your people. But don't mistake their warmth for availability. The snake side of their personality is more selective, more private, more strategic. They watch. They feel. They know when something's off, when someone is lying, when a friendship is based on convenience rather than connection. They may not call you out directly, but you'll feel their silence like a door quietly closing. They don't rage. They vanish. One moment they're your go-to soul twin, and the next, they've slipped away into a new chapter of their life without warning. This isn't cruelty, it's self-preservation. When trust breaks, they don't argue. They just evolve elsewhere. Despite their wanderlust and occasional disappearances, their loyalty runs deep. If you've truly earned a spot in their inner world, it's permanent, even if they're not always present. Their friendships don't depend on proximity or frequency. They believe in soul ties, not social calendars. You might not hear from them for months, but when you do, it picks up as if no time has passed. They're the kind of friend who will cross a continent for you in a crisis, even if you haven't spoken in a year. Their love is quiet, powerful, and enduring, if you can handle the rhythm. Emotionally, they're both challenging and rewarding. They'll support you, absolutely, but they won't coddle you. Expect blunt truths, unfiltered advice, and the occasional existential question that makes you rethink your entire life path. Their standards for friendship are high. They don't keep people around just to fill space. They want people who push them, intrigue them, make them laugh and think. If you're complacent or disingenuous, they'll pick up on it and start to pull away. But if you're authentic, curious, and open-minded, they'll treasure you like gold. And here's the secret charm of the Sagittarius snake friend: they remind you who you are. They see your potential before you do. They notice the ideas you haven't voiced, the dreams you've shelved, the truths you're afraid to say out loud. They'll nudge you toward your edge, sometimes gently, sometimes with a shove, but always with the belief that you're capable of more. Being their friend means signing up for a lifelong transformation program where love looks like late-night debates, impromptu adventures, deep truths, and the occasional temporary ghosting for spiritual renewal. So yes, having a Sagittarius snake as a friend is intense. It's inspiring. It's chaotic. It's intimate and distant all at once. But most of all, it's unforgettable. Because once they've let you in, you'll carry a piece of their fire and mystery with you forever. Business career, the strategic visionary. When a Sagittarius snake enters the business world, it's like watching fire learn how to dance in slow motion, fierce, brilliant, and unbelievably calculated. At first glance, they may appear like the ultimate free spirit, chasing abstract goals with reckless enthusiasm. But don't be fooled. Behind that spontaneous charisma lies a razor-sharp strategist who knows exactly where they're going, and why. They don't just dream big, They map it out in layers, playing the long game while distracting you with charm, laughter, and vision. Every joke has purpose. Every handshake is a data point. Every risk is a calculated move disguised as a leap of faith. The Sagittarius energy in them gives birth to bold, boundary-breaking ideas. They want to create, explore, and disrupt. Anything that feels stagnant is rejected on principle. These are the entrepreneurs, the brand builders, the digital nomads launching empires from airport lounges. But here's where the snake takes the wheel: they're not chaotic creators. They're architects of momentum. They instinctively understand timing, leverage, and perception. Where others rush in, they wait. Where others hesitate, they strike. Their gut for business isn't just intuition, it's pattern recognition, honed by years of silent observation and internal calculation. They thrive in careers that allow them to lead without limits. Traditional corporate hierarchies suffocate them. Micromanagement is a personal affront. Meetings with no purpose. Torture. They need space to create, pivot, and improvise. That's why they gravitate toward roles that reward autonomy: startup founder, creative director, strategic consultant, global negotiator. Give them a vague problem and watch them turn it into a vision deck, a business plan, and a TED Talk, all before lunch. But tell them to clock in at 9 and fill out spreadsheets. You'll lose them within a week. What sets them apart from other ambitious types is their emotional intelligence. The snake gives them an uncanny ability to read people, and the Sagittarian fire makes them magnetic. This combination turns them into master communicators. They can walk into a room, sense the political undercurrents, align with the right energies, and leave with 3 new allies and an opportunity no one else even saw. They don't just network, they orchestrate social dynamics. Their charm is never accidental. They know how to pitch ideas, build trust, and close deals, not through pressure, but through resonance. And while they may appear impulsive or carefree to the untrained eye, the truth is they're always thinking 10 steps ahead. They plan in silence, execute in confidence, and succeed in ways that seem effortless, because by the time you're reacting, they've already moved on to the next phase. They invest wisely, not just in money, but in people and trends. They're the kind to quietly buy into something before it explodes, or support a rising talent before they become famous. Their eye for timing is surgical. Their instinct for momentum is nearly prophetic. But working with them isn't for everyone. They demand trust and freedom. Hover over them, question their process, or try to limit their vision, and they'll either push back hard, or disappear altogether. They're not confrontational by nature, but they are fiercely protective of their autonomy. Their best work happens when they feel respected and unleashed. And when they do feel that, watch out. Because they will overdeliver, overperform, and outlast expectations in ways that redefine the playing field. In the end, a Sagittarius snake in business is a rare hybrid of visionary and tactician. They dream like artists but execute like chess masters. They may talk about changing the world, and they mean it, but they're also perfectly capable of turning that vision into a scalable model, a marketable brand, and a global footprint. If you meet one, don't just try to hire them, try to partner with them. Because their fire may burn bright, but it's the snake's coil underneath that makes their success not just explosive, but sustainable. Dark sides, the coiled flame. The dual nature of the Sagittarius snake is what makes them so captivating, but also what fuels their darker complexities. They are fire wrapped in velvet, a warm smile concealing layers of emotional distance, and when their energy turns inward, it can become an intricate maze of contradiction, detachment, and self-preservation. Their independence, so admirable on the surface, can morph into emotional isolation. What begins as a healthy need for space can become a slow withdrawal from intimacy, leaving partners, friends, and even colleagues wondering where the connection went, and if it was ever real in the first place. The truth is, they often are emotionally unavailable, but not out of malice. It's a defense mechanism. The snake within them is protective of vulnerability, and Sagittarius fears any form of confinement, emotional or otherwise. So when things get too close, when someone starts to see behind the mask, they may instinctively pull away. They'll bury themselves in work, in travel, in philosophical thought, or even in fleeting distractions, anything to avoid the terrifying possibility of emotional captivity. Love for them can feel like a trap, even if it's healthy and mutual. And so, they cycle, falling in love with the idea of connection, only to run when it becomes real. They don't mean to wound, but they do. Often in silence. Often with absence. Their manipulative tendencies rarely show up as overt cruelty. Instead, they're more psychological, subtle shifts in tone, strategic silences, or using truth like a weapon. When hurt, they don't explode. They calculate. The snake's passive aggression meets Sagittarius' brutal honesty, creating a kind of emotional chess where you're not even sure you're playing until you've already lost. They'll say something that cuts to the bone, then act as if it was just being real. You'll sense something's wrong, but they'll insist they're fine. It's emotional warfare waged with philosophy, wit, and detachment, and you won't see it coming until the distance is already there. What complicates their dark side even more is their tendency to intellectualize emotion. They process pain like a problem to be solved, not a feeling to be expressed. So when they're going through internal turmoil, they don't cry or vent, they disappear into books, projects, or long walks with no destination. They're the kind who write a 20-page essay about heartbreak rather than admit they're hurting. This makes them seem cold, inaccessible, even arrogant. And in a way, they are. Their belief in their own uniqueness, fueled by Sagittarian confidence and snake-level introspection, can become elitism if unchecked. They don't just think differently, they start to believe only they can see the truth. That arrogance pushes people away before those people can get close enough to challenge it. Morally, they usually try to live by a strong internal compass, but that compass bends when convenience or long-term gain is at stake. They're not unethical, but they are flexible. If breaking a rule serves a bigger vision, they'll do it. If bending a truth keeps things aligned with their personal narrative, they won't hesitate. The snake side whispers that ends can justify means, and Sagittarius, with all its faith and purpose, can sometimes believe it. This is how idealism becomes justification. How righteousness turns to rationalization. And how bridges burn without them ever looking back. Their darker self is not easy to confront, even for them. It's the part that ghosted the person who needed them most. The part that walked away from a stable job because they felt bored, without warning or backup plan. It's the part that builds up a dream only to abandon it the second it threatens their freedom. They are the philosopher who talks about connection but vanishes when things get too real. The friend who gives you deep advice but never picks up when they're in crisis. The lover who inspires poems and promises, only to become a ghost when intimacy crosses into territory they haven't prepared for. Yet their shadows don't make them monsters. They make them human. Complex, contradictory, emotionally layered humans trying to navigate life with both instinct and intellect. Their dark side is the price of their brilliance, the cost of that magnetic, visionary fire. And for those willing to understand it, to love them through it, there is deep beauty in their struggle. Because at the heart of every vanished message, every burned bridge, and every moment of distant silence, there is still a soul trying to balance freedom with connection, truth with tenderness, solitude with love. Life purpose, the eternal seeker. The life purpose of a Sagittarius snake is not defined by linear ambition or predictable milestones, it's shaped by an unrelenting thirst for truth, expansion, and transcendence. This is not a soul built for comfort or conventional success. They are driven by something far more elusive and compelling, the pursuit of meaning. For them, existence is a grand, never-ending quest, and the moment they feel they've arrived is the moment they begin to spiritually deteriorate. Their path isn't paved, it's forged in real time, carved from the fires of curiosity and the shadows of doubt. They don't just want to understand life, they want to feel it in its rawest, most unfiltered form. Their journey is fueled by questions that most people are too distracted, or too afraid, to ask. What is the purpose of suffering? Can truth ever be objective? What does it mean to live a good life? These aren't passing thoughts, they're obsessions. And while others seek comfort in answers, the Sagittarius Snake finds vitality in asking better questions. This is why they're often drawn to philosophy, metaphysics, storytelling, mysticism, psychology, and cultural exploration. The snake's wisdom brings depth and discernment, while Sagittarius adds speed and intensity. Together, they make a person who reads sacred texts and startup manuals with the same reverence, looking for something to spark the next layer of growth. They don't do routine. They don't do repetition. What they crave is evolution, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, even physical. They want to feel life unfolding in unpredictable, expansive ways. That's why travel often plays such a huge role in their journey, not just geographical travel, but internal voyages, shifts of identity, reinventions of the self. They are constantly shedding skins, outgrowing old definitions, burning down outdated beliefs just to see what will rise from the ashes. A Sagittarius snake doesn't simply live many lives, they become many lives. They are the eternal student, the reluctant prophet, the revolutionary in disguise. But for all their wisdom and drive, their purpose isn't solitary. While they may need solitude to recalibrate, their impact is meant to be shared. These individuals are natural storytellers and teachers, not in the traditional, didactic sense, but in the way they live. Their life becomes a kind of message. People are drawn to them, not because they have all the answers, but because they embody the search. They inspire others to look deeper, dream bigger, and question everything they've been taught to accept. They don't just light the path, they set fire to the whole forest, not to destroy it, but to clear space for something more alive to grow. When they find a cause or mission that aligns with their evolving truth, their energy becomes unstoppable. They pour themselves into it with passion, precision, and visionary momentum. Whether it's building a movement, writing a book, launching a global project, or guiding others through transformation, they bring intensity and innovation to everything they touch. Their snake intuition ensures they move with purpose, not just speed. Their Sagittarius idealism fuels their belief that anything is possible, and more importantly, worth trying. They don't need applause. They need alignment. Once their soul says yes, they go all in, often reshaping the world around them in the process. Yet the danger lies in stagnation. If they stop exploring, whether because of fear, comfort, or external pressure, they start to fragment. They grow restless, irritable, emotionally numb. Their fire dims, and the snake within coils inward, turning their gifts into defenses. They may appear successful on the outside, but inside, they're crumbling. Because for them, meaning isn't optional, it's oxygen. The moment they stop seeking, they stop being. This is the paradox of the Sagittarius snake: they are always searching, never settling. Always evolving, never satisfied. And yet, in that restlessness lies their purpose. They are here to challenge stillness, to awaken those asleep in the illusion of stability, to remind the world that truth isn't fixed, it's fluid. And while others may strive for security, they are busy chasing stars, decoding dreams, and living out questions that don't yet have words. Their life purpose is not a destination. It's a devotion. A sacred restlessness. A dance between wisdom and wonder. They may never be fully understood, and that's exactly how it should be. Because the moment you think you've figured them out, they're already miles ahead, seeking the next horizon. So, do you know a Sagittarius snake? Or maybe, are you one? If you've ever crossed paths with a Sagittarius snake, you probably haven't forgotten them. Maybe it was a friend who challenged every belief you held while also being the first to show up when life knocked you down. Or a lover who sparked something in you that no one else ever could, then vanished like a myth when things got too real. Maybe it's someone you admired from a distance, drawn in by their presence, their words, their restless hunger for truth. Or maybe, just maybe, it's you. Maybe you've always felt a little too curious, too intense, too free to fit into the boxes the world built for you. If you are a Sagittarius snake, you've likely spent your life feeling like a beautiful contradiction. Fiercely independent, yet yearning for soul-level connection. Wild in your dreams, yet deliberate in your plans. You may have been misunderstood, too deep for the shallow, too bold for the careful, too silent for the loud. But that complexity, that constant evolution, that's your magic. You don't just live, you transcend. You don't just think, you reconstruct paradigms. Your journey isn't linear, but it's luminous. It confuses those who live on the surface, but it calls in those who live in depth. So if this profile hit close to home, if you felt seen, even in the shadows, you're not alone. There's a tribe of cosmic seekers out here, navigating the fire and silk of existence just like you. I want to hear your stories, your transformations, your lessons, your heartbreaks, your comebacks. Let me know in the comments what being a Sagittarius snake means to you. What parts lit you up? What parts challenged you? Your words might just be the reflection someone else needed to find themselves in this wild, beautiful archetype. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and dive deeper into the world of astrology with the content linked below. There's so much more to explore. The stars are ancient, but their stories are still unfolding, just like yours. Your journey through the zodiac isn't a map, it's a mirror. And we've only just begun.